Welcome, everyone. Today's explainer is diving straight into the compound discipline of self-made millionaires. If you've ever looked at super successful people and thought, man, they must just be absolute geniuses, or wow, they got so incredibly lucky, well, I've got some great news for you. They really aren't, and they definitely didn't. What actually separates self-made millionaires from the rest of us is just a handful of daily habits. They might seem completely tiny on the surface, but they snowball into massive, undeniable results over time. We're going to break down 5 of these exact habits today, including a highly guarded fourth habit that almost nobody talks about. And the absolute best part? Every single one of them is literally 100% free. You can start them today with zero capital.
But okay, before we jump into the actual habits, we've got to clear the air. There is just so much noise out there online. You see it all the time, right? You're constantly bombarded with these flashy hustle culture myths. You know exactly the ones I'm talking about. The idea that you absolutely must take freezing cold showers or wake up at 4 a.m. just to prove how tough you are, or that success is honestly just a total roll of the dice. Nonsense. Real, sustainable wealth is not built on flashy stunts. It's built on, well, boring daily habits, practical discipline. The strategies that actually work don't cost a dime. You don't need to go out and buy a fancy alarm clock or a literal ice bath. You just need the discipline to execute the fundamentals day in and day out.
So we really have to ask ourselves a very direct question. What actually separates them from you? I mean, if it isn't a sky-high IQ and it's not purely luck and it's definitely not waking up in the middle of the night to sit in cold water, what is the exact wedge? What actually drives that massive financial separation between a self-made millionaire and the average person over a lifetime? Well, the answer lies entirely in what they do with their limited resources, namely their money, their time, and their focus.
Which leads us right into habit number 1, track every single dollar. Now, I know this one kind of flips a common assumption totally on its head. Usually we just naturally assume that once someone makes a ton of money, they just stop looking at price tags, right? Like, they have plenty of it, so why bother checking the bank account? Actually, the exact opposite is true. Self-made millionaires meticulously track every single dollar, even when they literally have millions of them. They know exactly where their money goes, because that intense, super specific financial awareness, that's exactly the tool that built their wealth in the first place. They don't see tracking their money as a restriction. It's all about awareness. And they never let that habit go, even way after they've quote-unquote made it.
All right, moving on to our second baseline habit, which is all about daily control. Habit number 2, protect your mornings fiercely. The source material is completely clear on this. Self-made millionaires do not just wake up and instantly react to the world. Way before they even think about checking an email, and way before they ever open up a social media app, they prioritize forward-moving tasks. They spend the very beginning of their day doing things that actually push the needle forward on their lives. That could be reading, maybe planning out their schedule, or knocking out their single most important task for the day. They basically treat their morning routine like a fortress that cannot be breached by outside distractions. And look, we are only talking about 30 to 60 minutes here. You really don't need some intense 4-hour morning routine. Protecting just the first 30 to 60 minutes of your day completely dictates who is in control. The philosophy is super simple, but man, is it profound. Whoever controls the first hour of your day controls the rest of it. Just think about the average person. Most of us blindly surrender that critical foundational hour to our smartphones without even realizing we're doing it. We wake up, grab the phone right off the nightstand, and boom, we let the demands, emergencies, and opinions of everyone else just flood our brains. Millionaires fiercely protect that 30 to 60-minute window to make absolutely sure they are driving their day, rather than letting the day drive them.
Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about defense, because habit 3 is say no to almost everything. And honestly, this one tends to surprise people. We kind of have this image in our heads that successful people are always saying yes to every amazing opportunity that comes their way. But in reality, intense focus is their primary defense mechanism. Self-made millionaires are incredibly picky and fiercely protective of where their time and their money actually go. They totally get that every single commitment, no matter how tiny, drains a little piece of their limited daily bandwidth. So their default answer to distractions, random meetings, and just trivial stuff, it's simply no.
It really all boils down to this one simple, powerful truth. Every yes to something unimportant is secretly a no to something that actually matters. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just basic time management. It's energy and priority management. Whenever you agree to do something that doesn't actually align with your goals, you are literally stealing time away from the things that do. Self-made millionaires protect their focus like it's their absolute most valuable asset. Because, well, it is. Focus is literally the currency of achievement.
And that brings us to habit number 4, the secret weekly habit. This is the big one we've been building up to.
It's a highly guarded, honestly overlooked routine that millionaires rely on more than almost anything else to make sure all their hard work is actually pointed in the right direction. It's not some daily grind, it's a weekly reset. Because without this, you could execute those first 3 habits flawlessly, but still end up sprinting in the completely wrong direction.
Let's compare approaches here. Most people set these giant, ambitious New Year's resolutions, right? Then they check their progress maybe once, usually in December, when it's literally too late to fix anything. And what inevitably happens? Those goals just quietly fade away and die by March. But the self-made millionaire? They review their goals weekly, not yearly. They sit down, usually for just like 10 minutes on a Sunday, and do a quick check-in. They constantly ask themselves one brutally honest question. Did I move closer to my goal this week or farther away? That incredibly simple 10-minute Sunday feedback loop is the exact mechanism that saves their goals from dying. It lets them course correct in real time, week after week.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, habit number 5, the permanent habit of learning. You can kind of think of this 5th habit as the perpetual engine that keeps those other 4 habits running smoothly. Self-made millionaires are just constantly investing in their own education, and they do this long after they've made it big. They are aggressively consuming books, jumping into courses, hunting down mentors, and purposely having conversations with people who are way smarter than them. They know that the world is literally always evolving, and the second you decide you're done learning, well, that's the exact moment you start falling behind.
The average mindset totally believes that education is just a temporary phase, like learning officially stops the second you get that diploma and walk out of school. But the wealth mindset operates on a completely different frequency. They see learning as a permanent, lifelong habit, not just some phase you age out of. Self-made millionaires never kid themselves into thinking they know it all. They stay permanent students of life. They are constantly upgrading their mental software, just so they can spot brand new opportunities and solve bigger and bigger problems.
All right, let's enthusiastically recap everything we've covered today, because seeing all these disciplines together is just incredibly powerful. 1. Track every single dollar to maintain absolute financial awareness. 2. Protect your mornings fiercely. Really take control of those first 30 to 60 minutes. 3. Say no to almost everything to fiercely guard your focus. 4. Use that weekly recalibration. Review your goals weekly, not yearly, with a quick 10-minute Sunday check-in. And 5. Invest in constant education as a permanent lifestyle. When you step back and look at these 5 habits, the absolute most important takeaway is this. None of these require money to start, not a single one. They only require discipline, and discipline is the one resource that is completely free and abundantly available to literally anyone who's willing to use it.
So I'm going to leave you with one final, provocative question to think about. Which habit starts today? Look, you don't need to completely flip your entire life upside down overnight, but you do need to take that first step. Which of these 5 entirely free, practical disciplines are you going to start implementing right now to build your foundation for wealth? Don't let this be just another explainer you passively watch and forget about. Pick one, try it tomorrow morning, and just watch how it compounds over time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and hey, keep building those habits.